I know we're under a little bit of pressure, so time pressure, that is. So we're just going to jump right into the next talk here. It is going to be a little different. It's not going to be so technical, a little more on the soft side, if you will. So I called this talk E-commerce your clients give a crap about, and the idea was basically to try and come up with at least something. There are so many ways you can take this, so many directions. And one of the things that struck me with all the festivals that I've attended and all the conferences that we do in Umbraco is that we talk a lot about tech, but we don't talk a lot about the clients that we actually ultimately serve, right? So what I wanted to do with this chat here was basically try and get you into a mode where you think more about the clients and what you can do for the client. How can we generate value from an e-commerce perspective? So I know it sounds a little boring, but I'll make sure and make it interesting. Can you hear me all right? It's okay? I noticed this morning when I flew in that my voice had almost disappeared, so I hope I make it through the entire hour. Otherwise, I'll just mime the rest of it. Would that be okay? Good. So what I came up with was basically this. I wanted to try and get you thinking from a client's perspective. Many of you already do this, but just sort of try and look at it from a business perspective instead. I'm going to show you a bunch of things that I've seen in many different e-commerce projects out there. And hopefully, there will be one thing you can take back and use tomorrow if you do e-commerce. How many of you do e-commerce for clients today? It's maybe 10%. How many are looking to do e-commerce? Maybe not tomorrow, but the day after that? Not so many, okay. And well, basically, the final thing there is that I want to give you some inspiration for the next time that a client comes and asks you, what can we do e-commerce-wise with our website? Because there are so many really cool and interesting things you can do. And basically, many e-commerce platforms today, what they do is that they help you sell online, but this here is more to help you sell more. That's the idea. So let's see how that goes. So to sum it up, you're in the right room if you're looking for the softer side of e-commerce, not so much the technical side. If you're looking for a lot of C# and Razor, I can talk for weeks about that as well, but it's not going to be this talk. If you want to talk about that, we can meet outside after that. Okay? Good. So I didn't introduce myself, so I can do that. I'm Søren. I am the founder of ecommerce, one of the e-commerce platforms on Umbraco. Actually, the e-commerce platform was introduced back when new e-commerce platforms on Umbraco was an actual novelty. Today there are lots to choose from, so it's just a e-commerce platform. I've been doing e-commerce forever. My entire career first has been focused on e-commerce, first as a consultant, and now as the founder of ecommerce. And what I've seen through my career so far are some themes that sort of happen again and again. One of the interesting things is that Umbraco is a global thing. So when we did this thing here, we knew that e-commerce would be used on a bunch of different in a bunch of different countries. And I figured, well, all my experience is from Scandinavia, so I couldn't possibly apply all that in, say, the UK or the US or whatever. But something interesting happened, and that was that these themes are actually recurring in almost every market that we see. So the US, the UK, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Holland, it doesn't matter. It's the same things that people are sort of struggling with out there. So what I'm going to try and do today, sorry about the foul language there, it was actually originally done in Belgium, where it's a little more okay to swear in my slides. So, but I want to turn you into, well, Jedi Masters in e-commerce. We'll see how that happens, how it goes, but at least you'll get some inspiration for that. I'm a technical person and I like taxonomy, so of course I had to sort of divide the things that we're looking at into 3 separate things. So we're going to take first a look at lead gen, so lead generation, how can you sort of find new customers for your web store? Then we're going to talk about engaging with the customer, so when they're on your actual website, what can you do to actually make them convert? And once you have converted your customer, how can we retain them? How can we get them to come back? I don't know if you're aware of this, but in e-commerce, it's very common that you actually lose money on the first purchase a customer makes because you invest so much money in AdWords and all sorts of things that make the customer actually come to your web store. So you really need that second sale, and that's what the retention bit is all about. Good. So having said all that, let's start with some basics. I have a question for you, and feel free to just jump in. Why do we build e-commerce stores? Why do we build online stores? Very basic. Any ideas? Why do we do it? What's the goal of building a store? Huh? Save cost, yes. Selling products. Actually, that was exactly the, the answer I was looking for, right? We can agree that a web store is there to ultimately sell stuff and then reduce all the costs involved in actually selling stuff, right? How many agree with that statement? Almost everybody. There is one or two. I'm going to come and talk with you in a little bit. So we can agree it's not for the fame and fortune that we're doing e-commerce stores, right? That's not the point. We can also agree that it's not about meeting chicks, right? So it's about this. I'm sorry to say, but it's about the huge stacks of cash, ultimately. So with that in mind, I hope you want to play a little bit of a game with me. I call it pet peeve. And so just bear in mind the premise that a web store is there to sell, right? Keep that in your heads. And now we're going to look at some web stores and we can sort of talk about what's good and bad about it, right? So first one. What these guys do is that they sell wireless speakers for iPhones, these the 4 ones there. What's good about this site? Any comments? What do you think works? Huh? It looks cool, yep. And that is definitely, first impression is really important, right? And they are a design company, so of course, really important. What is the web store there to do? You remember? Sell products. Is it actually selling any products? Not really, right? Maybe, maybe not, but you have to click at least one time. Look way up there, it says shop. That's actually a symptom of a problem I'm going to talk about. So there are no products on the front page. You have to actually go to almost to another site to see products. So are they actually interested in making money? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe they made all the money in the last fiscal year and they don't have to worry about it anymore. But I think not. Let's look at another one. Sorry, it's in Danish, but it's an online pharmacy, so it's all about prescription meds and things like that. What works? Any ideas? Yeah. I think it's pretty obvious that you can buy stuff on this store, right? What else? Discounts? Yeah, you can see that they really want to try and push some, they have some promotions on there. Exactly. What else? Visual elements, things like that. It might not look as cool, but it's more sort of to the functional side of things. Anything else? Anything that doesn't work so well? Huh? It's a little noisy, right? Yep, agreed. Okay, 2 more. What about this one? Is it a good website or a bad website? Bad website. What's the problem? Exactly. Same problem as the first one. Where are the products? They're actually there. But wait, there's also a buy online there, so maybe, I don't know, maybe there are 2 ways you can do it, I don't know. And it doesn't really tell you a lot. Let's take a look at the last one. Coming up on Christmas, I couldn't help myself, I had to include this one. Plastic Christmas trees, you can actually buy from this one right now. Good website, bad website. It's got some products, it's got a little bit of promotions. I hope you can see that you can actually purchase from it, right? The other thing that's kind of cool is the way that you navigate on it. So it's using faceted search to actually create customer funnels. So it looks, they've sort of thought about why you might be on the website. To buy something, yes. But what are you there to buy? Maybe a Christmas tree, I don't know. Do any of you have plastic Christmas trees? Just wondering. Oh, there's one at the back, 2, 3, 4. Excellent. So you can buy that right there. So you can choose by size or color, whatever, what makes sense, or if you need a gift for a kid. So with that in mind, I have some, remember the game is called Pet Peeve. And of course, these are my pet peeves. So, but I hope I can make them your pet peeves as well. If you're doing e-commerce, please, pretty please, make it about products, right? Main navigation, should it say blog, store, news, things like that? I wouldn't say so. I would say it should say my product categories, the things that I'm actually here to make money on. It's very basic, right? It makes sense, to me at least. Does it make sense? Yeah, good. It's really basic. Make the front page about products and offers. We saw that again, right? You need to know what you can actually buy on this page. It's not that difficult. Just do it. And finally, make it easy to find and purchase products. So if you have an idea of what you need, like the Christmas tree site we looked at, why not make a funnel where you can actually allow me to get in there and start to choose from the different product categories. These things here was not even what I wanted to talk about, but they are just so basic, and I just see them go wrong so many times that please, please, pretty please, make it about products and prices. Rule of thumb, if you display a product, what do you think you should display to? Just, the price. What else? Add to basket. Why not let people buy the products when they're there anyway? You probably paid good money for AdWords or whatever, TV commercials, things like that. So let customers buy. Again, it's very basic, but it's just, I see it go wrong so many times. And now to the actual presentation. Oh yeah, at ecommerce we have a rule. There needs to be at least one lolcat in every presentation we do. So this is my lolcat for this one. Just if you weren't convinced so far, maybe my friend here will help you. I don't know. Okay, so lead generation. I'm going to talk about two principles in lead generation, the macro conversion and the micro conversion. How many are familiar with macro and micro conversions? Good, because I'm here to tell you about it. So the macro conversion, the big one, that is when we actually make a sale on a website. We always, usually what I see is that store owners always try and make it about the macro conversion. You try and go straight to the macro conversion and close the deal. How many feel like that makes sense? Try and close the sale immediately. If there's a customer on there, why not try and sell? Makes sense, right? But the problem is, I have a little bit of an analogy to explain why it makes sense to take a few steps before you actually get to that. Those are called micro conversions. So little bits of things that you can do with a customer to make them identify to you, to give them your email, to let them know who they are, to let you know what they're interested in. And then comes the macro conversion. You can think about it like this. How many have been in this situation? You walk into a bar, you see a beautiful girl at the bar, right? Probably tomorrow or this evening. How many of you will just walk up to the girl and just stick your tongue down her throat? Nobody? Ah, there is a winner. Okay, I can neither confirm nor deny that I tried it once. It didn't work out well. So if we want to, so what do we do to get to know the girl? We go through a series of micro conversions to actually get there, right? We talk to her. We get to know her. We sort of gently build up a relationship. Macro versus micro conversions is all about that. And then you can stick your tongue down her throat. So it's called permission marketing. And the idea is that you identify the customer, and then you start a conversation with that customer. And that builds a loyal customer base that you can then work on to continually do business with. Does that make sense? Don't go for the macro conversion, because you'll be shut down immediately. Go for a number of micro conversions, and that's what we're actually talking about. How can you get into a relationship with a customer slowly, and then sort of win their trust? First thing is, if you've ever done e-commerce, this process has already started for you, luckily. What I tried to do with this slide was to show an abandoned cart. Do you know what that is, an abandoned cart? Yeah? So that's when you visit a site, right? And then you go away. How it happens maybe 98% of the time that you will visit a site, you'll add some stuff to the cart, and then you'll disappear. So we have 90% of visitors that never actually become a customer, and only 2% customers. So it means we have some stuff to work with there, right? 98% of the people that come to our website are potential customers that may or may not have identified themselves to you. The abandoned cart, what I wanted to say with that is that almost every e-commerce platform out there today will store this information in a database somewhere, and you will know what they've added to basket, when they did it, when was the last activity. But even more importantly, as customers click through checkout steps, you can probably imagine Amazon.com or something like that, what do? You add some stuff to your basket, you move to the next step, and then you start to identify yourself. You start to talk about shipping and billing and things like that. And just like that, you have identified yourself to the e-commerce store, and it enables us to start that conversation. This information is readily available in almost any e-commerce platform. It's just not leveraged a lot. Imagine a customer that has gone through, say you build up a good sort of checkout flow with 3 steps. They've gone through basket management, addresses, all that. They've gone right up to the point where they need to enter credit card information. And what happens? They disappeared. But they were so ready to purchase. They almost got there. I have a story from my own sort of life where this happened. I have 3 kids, sort of various heights, yay high, and that high, right? So you can imagine with the small ones, there's a lot of sort of things that get spilled, a lot of attention grabbing going on, right? So I was actually shopping on a site in the US. It was sort of a spur of the moment thing. It was just a dumb, silly thing. I didn't really need it, but I got pulled away, and I was actually right there at the point of entering my credit card information. I sort of convinced myself that I had to have this thing, and then my youngest went and spilled a bucket of milk all over the floor, right? And what happened? I got distracted. I never came back. But 2 days later, guess what happened? Email pops into my inbox saying, "Hey, Søren, that purchase you were doing, are you interested in that still? Maybe we could persuade you to come back. Here's a 5% voucher code with a little bit of discount." And guess what happened? Lost customer turned into an actual customer, right? Very simple mechanism, just using the information that is right there in the platform. Make sense? Good. I see a little bit of nodding. Next example. These are examples of what you can do to actually get customers to identify to yourselves. You all know the newsletter. Sign up for a newsletter, get a discount. I'm going to show you some examples of that. The idea is you need to give to get, right? Pay it forward, like Doug said this morning. And when you do, your customers will be likely to come back and check out with you. So first example, classic. We need to identify the customer. We need to know who they are. And the first thing that we need is the email address, right? So can you read it? That's the Christmas side again. This is a competition. You may not even win. But if you want to sort of get a shot at winning that hamper there, you need to give up your email address. You need to identify it to the site. And once you've done that, that email address is there for use for newsletter campaigns and all that. So you have to give a little bit, 10% off, to get a little bit. Here's another example of that. They've even made it a little interactive over there, so to grab your attention, because it's so important for them to be able to identify who you are. And again, it's a simple thing. It's in Danish, but I'll translate for you. Get a discount code for the first experience gift, and then you'll get newsletters with ideas for sort of new experiences. This is a site that sells. You can try a plane ride in a jet or a really fast race car, things like that. But again, they use the same example as before. They give to get, and now they have your email address, and now they can start to build up that relationship with you, start to get to know you. Especially in this business here, it's called, this is Danish, but it's called You'll Never Forget. That's basically the name of the store. And imagine sort of those micro conversions where they get to know you better and better. It's really important for them because they need to know whether you're more inclined to buy a romantic dinner for 2, or if you want to ride a really fast car, right? Makes a difference. So they can target their messaging better like that. So just remember to start out the conversation, give something. In e-commerce, we do it too. It actually works for business to business. We want to sell to you guys, of course. And what we give is knowledge. We want to help you sort of use the tools that we have. And the idea there is then that what we do is we offer a lot of our time, give it to you, so you can sort of know that we can help you build these types of stores. We do it for free in the hope that you will actually use our platform over something else. But it's the same basic principle. And we actually do a lot of that. We even go so far to assign a person to your project because it's so valuable for us to know where you are and what you're doing and things like that. Anne Frank once said that nobody ever got poor from giving, and I think that's a really sort of salient point in something like this. Another example, the wish list. How many have created a wish list ever on Amazon.com or some other site? Yes, few people, 10%. The first step, select some items, put them in your carts, right? What's the next step? Step number 2. Any ideas? Huh? Send it to a friend, yes. And what's the other step? When you want to save it. Exactly. And what do they have when you do that? Email address. And they may even have your friend's email address too. So, good example. It's actually interesting with wish lists. If you think about it, a wish list is a person telling you exactly what they want you to sell to them, right? Those are all the things that you want. I have one on a silly online service where I can buy games, and there may be 3 or 4 games that I'd like to play at some point. And of course, you can just market the hell out of that because I've told them what I want. And so a wish list is more than just saving things. It's actually personalized marketing right there that your customers have told you. So kind of an interesting thing there. Or how about one of these guys? Catalogs. How many have paged through a print catalog recently? A few people. I think maybe it's more. But this is sort of an old school way of marketing, right? You send out a catalog. It's pretty common. But I would actually submit that an online store can get a lot of value out of this. Building an online catalog, they have all the information already in the CMS. You can build up a catalog that will make sense. But in order to receive a catalog, what do I need in my web store to do that? Any ideas? Address, right? So now I know where you live. So now I have your email and I have your address. And now I can even start to know, well, people from this area, maybe we have some demographics, maybe we know something about people from there, and we can start to do it. And well, I wouldn't say it's trivial to do something like that, but what I'm saying is that we get into sort of omni-channel territory where we're starting to tie together both online and offline. So we're getting into some interesting scenarios where you sort of tie everything together, and this is where everything is heading. And this is an old school technology, right? But it's still something that has value in a digital world. Make sense? If you have any questions or comments, just go ahead and ask them. No problem there. How about free gifts? Who likes free gifts? Not everybody. Okay, I think I want to do a round where I ask the ones that don't like free gifts why. But free gifts, they work, right? And again, you have to give to get. If I give one of you guys a free gift, what do I get as a store owner? If I am to send you a product, what do I need? Address, right? I need all of it. And again, we can start the conversation going. Maybe this is even more inexpensive than doing AdWord campaigns. This is something we use as well, so it works in B2B. So what we use is just the email. So we give you the product for free because it's that valuable for us to know who you are. So we actually give the whole thing away for free, right? B2C, it's even simpler. Samples of a perfume, whatever, things that will sort of get people engaged. Simple and trivial. Most platforms will do it out of the box. So remember that girl that we started out with. In order to get to the macro conversion, we have to go through a series of micro conversions to get there, right? And with each micro conversion, we will know more about the customer. And ultimately, we will be able to close the deal. Okay. Next step, engage. So this is about what happens when you're actually on the website. So when you're in the sales channels, so all the things we've seen so far, many of them can actually be done just through a normal, regular website. But this is all about what happens when you're actually trying to get the customer through and doing that macro conversion. Sorry about that. The point is up here. This is just a quote for later. Be available as a store owner. 44% of online consumers say that online chat is important because it gives them a sense of security that they can actually speak to a person about what's going on. I had an experience myself. I had bought something on Amazon.com and I needed to return that thing. It broke and I had no idea how to do it. So what do? Of course, I could leaf through a bunch of information on the website, but online chat gave me the response in 2 minutes. And it actually gave me a positive customer experience because I had not expected to actually get my answer at all. I would have to research it. I would have to screw around on a bunch of web pages to find out what's going on. But here, it just worked. Imagine through a checkout flow again, the person that was just about to enter their credit card information. Think about the situation. If it was me where I had a gallon of milk spilled all over the floor, online chat probably wouldn't have helped. But if I were in doubt about how to do it, this would be a way to do it, right? And it's fairly simple. There are third-party tools. You can just hook them into your websites. You have to do almost no coding to make it work. It just requires man-hours from the business. But that's not our problem, right? Free shipping. How many have gotten stuff shipped for free? I hope it's everybody. Yeah? Okay. So an interesting thing happens when you offer free shipping. If you imagine web stores that are split between those that offer free shipping and those that don't, what I would almost wager is that many of you have sort of a mental map of the stores that you can go to and get free shipping and the ones you can't. When I did this presentation in the spring, I did it the first time in Belgium, I spoke to my wife about this, and then I talked about free shipping. Does it actually work? I know all the science says that it does, but how do you see it? And what she said is that, well, the way she described it is that she had that mental model up in her head. She had web stores divided in two categories. She would go to the first category first because she could get free shipping. She wouldn't have to worry about that added cost of shipping stuff. It took away a barrier to entry. So she would start there, and then she would go to another store if she couldn't get it with a free shipping store. So it works, and it's a simple thing, but it is a mechanism that really does make a huge difference. You can see in the Forrester report, or the e-tailing group rather, how high people value this. How many have shopped on a website where you've added all your stuff to the cart and you're ready to purchase and bam, you're hit with a login prompt? Has that ever happened for any of you? 20%? How many actually completed that login form? Less, half, approximate. And you'll see here that the science says that if you require login on your checkout flow, you will lose 30 to 50% of those conversions. And if I take you back to the sort of the normal conversion rate for a site, 2% of visitors will actually check out, 98% will not. If you lose 50% of those 2%, I'm not awesome at math, but I think I can do it. That's 1%, right? That's a problem. And that's just a tiny, tiny thing that you can avoid. Anonymous checkout always, unless there's a really, really good reason for login. Maybe you're doing B2B. Maybe you're doing something where you need very tight control over who does what. Maybe you're doing prescription meds like the online pharmacy I did before. So you have some prescriptions, and of course you need to tie all that information to a user account. But in 80% of all e-commerce, you do not require that. You will still be able to tie information to the customer by email or some other method, right? So when a client comes to you and says, we need login, please go and say, no, we don't. Quote them this number, 30 to 50% conversion rate lost, and they will shut up. And then you may be wondering about Amazon.com. How many have shopped on Amazon? Well, not on .com, but on .co.uk? Most of you, yeah? Do they require login? Yes, they do. So why can't we require login? Any guesses? Exactly. Amazon.com has everything under the sun. They have critical mass, as you say. Or as I like to say it, you're not Amazon.com. So you can't go and look at Amazon.com and think, if I just do the same thing, I will be a huge multinational corporation. That doesn't happen. Most of the web stores out there are small, focused, niche type things that deal in golf balls or underwear or shoes, very specific product categories. Was there a question? Maybe. You can still send an email with a unique tracking link just for you. That doesn't require login. But if you want more returns and things like that, there will actually be a slide on that. So if I can hold on off on that. Any other questions? This is actually a thing I should have brought up during the game of pet peeve, because this is another one of mine. Single page versus multi-page checkout. So you've all seen it, the type of checkout where you have all the controls on one page. You enter address information, shipping information, billing information, you choose where you want everything, and it gets a little busy, right? So I would say always focus during checkout. Try and make the customer do just one thing at a time, not multiple things, because you really want to avoid confusing the customer and making them more sort of, I almost say uncomfortable, but it is sort of a little uncomfortable when you're sitting there with your credit card and you're getting ready to pay and you don't know what the hell's going on, right? So try and keep it simple. And I actually have well, there's an example here, right? This is an example of what not to do, basically. Single page checkout. There's a little bit of shipping there, shipping addresses, a little bit of payment information. There's some card information over there. What am I actually paying? Oh, that's over there. Okay, good. Where am I sending it? Well, that's over there. So before I'm done with this, I've just been clicking and clicking and clicking, and I don't have a good sort of overview of what's actually going on. So what I'm actually starting to see is, there's another example here. This is the single page checkout. So you start out with your basket, your delivery information, and you then focus on one step at a time. But I actually think that there's a good argument to be made for combining the two models into a hybrid one-page, multi-page checkout. And that's actually this Christmas store from before. They do a lot of things right. So one of the things that is cool about the site here is that you know exactly how many steps there is until you're checked out. It says 3, but there are actually 4, but okay, you can cheat a little. The next cool thing is that you're focused about one thing, but you're still on one page, right? So when you move to step number 1, which is actually step number 2, and choose the shipping methods or shipping information, what will happen is that the first step here will still be available, so you will know the choices you just made. So if you select standard delivery over there, that option will be highlighted, and it will sort of be grayed out a little bit so you can see what you did. Always keeping you confident that you made the right choices as you go through, but still keeping you focused on what you're doing. Does that make sense? So a hybrid. So one page is not necessarily evil or bad, but the execution is really, really important. Good. Another point, I talked about this a little bit before. It is easier to sell to existing customers than new ones. You have to acquire new customers, you have to pay marketing, AdWords, all that sort of stuff. It's enormously expensive and difficult to do. And you have that database of customers, so why not use it? Why not try and get some additional purchase going? And let's look at that. So talk about retaining customers. So first, when you think about an e-commerce store, or at least I did this for a long time, I thought about, well, we got to the order confirmation page, so now we're done, right? Just let them go, they paid their money, we're done. But this is actually the first step of retaining the customer. Actually, an interesting psychological process happens when you check out through a checkout flow. We, as a person, we're sort of hardwired to feel that it's a little dangerous to do it. So we have our guard up. We're scared of making mistakes because it involves money. And one of the fundamental things that we as a race is hooked up to respond to is danger and fear of loss. And we are scared of making the wrong decision through checkout. So when we get to the end of that sucker and we've checked out successfully, it almost feels like a small victory. You don't get a full adrenaline rush or anything like that, but we do feel like we accomplished something difficult. And an interesting thing happens when we get to the other side of a dangerous situation. We will actually start to feel a little more relaxed. And when we feel a little more relaxed, that credit card actually hangs a little more loose from your, you want a little bit of a prize for actually doing something good and you didn't actually screw up. So this is actually an opportune moment to start to sell more to the customer. It sounds a little evil almost, but you just need to tailor it so it's something they actually need, right? So checkout page, right? Looks A simple one looks like that. Thank you for your order, and now we'll forget about you. But what about all these spaces here where there's nothing actually there? We can use them for all sorts of interesting things. And your question about when to actually sign up a customer, this would be an awesome time to do it, because they're waiting around for your confirmation email anyway, so they have nothing to do. So why not ask them to sign up? And I think actually, oh, there it is. Good time to do it. It's even better from the point of view that you have already collected almost all of the information that you need to create that customer account, because you have the email address, you have the customer details, so you're good to go. You just need a password, and that's basically it. How about displaying some products that might be relevant to purchase? Say you buy a fine new iPhone or something like that. This would be a good point in time to start to talk about electronic insurance. So if you drop your phone in the toilet, you can get a new one. Just start to sort of work on that. I'm not saying that that happened to anybody in this room, but it may have. So yeah, good time to start to do that. Or another way of getting that next sale, offer an awesome discount. They're done shopping, but if you can get them in one more time, maybe you can offer a discount on a select group of products that are high margin, so you can afford to give them a good discount. Get them in there again, and maybe they will actually add more stuff. And of course, whenever you do that, remember to make it urgent. Be sure to not just give them a discount, but give them a discount that expires. So the message would be, thank you for your purchase. Within the next 2 hours, if you complete another purchase, we will give you 80% discount. Not forever, just within the next short time span there. Does that make sense? And this is actually a concept that's really important in everything you do. Remember to create urgency. Make the social media campaign that you post about the now, not the tomorrow. So make sure that the customers will actually know when it expires. If all else fails, if you can't get the client to do anything, at least get a little publicity out of their sale. Do the social media thing, right? Share a purchase, let people know that, that somebody checked out here, things like that. That's the absolute minimum you can get away with. I cheated a little bit. I actually have 2 lolcats here. So the retention, it's all about reaching out to the customer, making sure that, that they know you're there and you're ready to help. Like this little cat here. See how angry it looks because nobody called? So make sure and do that. The way you can do it, ask for feedback on checkout. So how was your experience? Was it a good experience? Anything we can do to change it? Reach out and contact the customer about the purchase. That's usually always legal. But check with your local rules there. Another good idea, ask for product reviews. Get a customer to help to sell to new customers. They purchased that product. Give it 2 weeks. They've had a chance to try out the product. Shoot an email out and say, well, how do you like it? Is it good? Do you want to return it? If not, maybe you want to provide an email, a review for other customers so they make sure and select the right thing. So you build up more value in your catalogs. As for store reviews, same deal, but just on sort of the media, the different media channels that has that sort of capability. So review the overall store, not just the product, but same deal. And again, this is one that sort of divides the waters a little bit. When warranty is about to expire, some stores like to reach out and say, well, hey, the product you purchased 6 months ago or a year ago or however long the warranty period is, it's about to expire. So if you have any problems with the product, now is the time to actually reach out and get that product replaced or repaired or something like that, because give it a month and you won't, you can't. The idea, of course, is to get the customer to visit the store again and maybe look around, keep it going, and at least get that warm and fuzzy feeling around a store that actually cares about the experience. How many minutes? Huh? Okay, so we'll be real quick. There's a pro tip that I want to give you. There we go. How many knows what this technology is called? Nobody? Yes, exactly. And it's an awesome piece of technology. This is actually one of the things that I see in a lot of web stores is an anxiety around actually touching the customer. Not in a real sense, but in a sort of more a metaphysical sense, right? The phone is actually a great way to build up a relationship. You can activate the customers by calling them up, saying, well, we noticed that your purchase wasn't completed, so instead of using email, actually call them up. It's a minimum effort that's required, but it works so much more powerfully than just an email, because we're so used to just filtering out emails. So to sum up, lead gen, identify the customer, remember the lady in the bar, micro conversion. Don't go straight to the macro conversion. Do a little bit of a micro conversion to get to know her. Engage, convince the customer to buy by grabbing information, starting the dialogue. And finally, keep the conversation going once you have actually sort of gotten a customer in the trap there. And in all IT and in everything out there, there is a golden rule that I want to teach you. Are you ready for it? All of the things I've just talked about, of course, it depends on what you're doing. And you've probably said this to clients a million times. But it's the same with this. If you're doing B2B or a specialized B2C or whatever, some of this may or may not work. But these are sort of some of the common things that I see again and again and again, not just in Scandinavia, not just in the UK, not just in the US, everywhere, basically. And with that, we're done.